When it comes to Yellowstone spin-offs, one question always follows: will familiar faces cross over? And with Marshals centering on Kayce's next chapter, fans are naturally wondering whether Rip Wheeler and Beth Dutton could ever show up. The short answer is, it's possible, but it wouldn't be simple. Rip and Beth aren't just supporting characters. They are pillars of the Yellowstone universe. Beth represents the strategic, ruthless side of the Dutton legacy, while Rip embodies unwavering loyalty and raw, physical enforcement. Together, they were central to the emotional and political engine of the original series. Bringing them into Marshals wouldn't be a casual cameo. It would shift the energy of the show. First, consider the tone of Marshals. The series appears focused on Kayce's independence. It places him in a different environment, under a different code, one rooted in federal authority rather than ranch dominance. Rip and Beth operate within the ranch's ecosystem. Their conflicts revolve around land, power, and legacy control. Kayce's current arc feels more personal, more introspective, and more tied to justice than territory. If Rip were to appear, it would likely be connected to unfinished business rather than routine interaction. Rip isn't someone who travels casually or inserts himself without reason. His loyalty is tied to family and land. For him to step into Kayce's world, there would need to be something at stake: a threat to the Dutton name, a crisis spilling beyond Montana, or a situation that directly connects to the ranch. Beth, on the other hand, would bring a different dynamic. Her presence automatically raises emotional intensity. She doesn't enter scenes quietly. If she showed up in Marshals, it would likely revolve around strategy, conflict, or protecting family interests. But here's the catch: Marshals seems designed to give Kayce space from that intensity. The show is exploring who he is outside the shadow of John Dutton and the constant warfare surrounding the ranch. That's what makes a crossover tricky. If Rip and Beth appear too prominently, it risks pulling the series back into Yellowstone territory, both literally and thematically. And that might undermine the point of Kayce's new beginning. However, the Yellowstone universe has always thrived on interconnected storytelling. Crossovers generate excitement. Even a brief appearance, a phone call, a tense meeting, a shared scene in Montana would electrify longtime fans. It wouldn't need to dominate the plot to feel meaningful. Sometimes a single scene can reinforce that these characters still exist in the same world. There's also the emotional factor. Kayce's bond with Rip is built on respect forged through conflict and loyalty. They weren't always aligned, but they understood each other. A reunion between them would likely be quiet but powerful. Not overly sentimental, just two men acknowledging shared history. As for Beth, her relationship with Kayce has always been layered. She sees him differently than she sees Jamie. There's less hostility, more complicated affection. If she were to appear, it might not be confrontational. It could be protective. Beth stepping into Kayce's new life would signal that no matter how far he goes, the Dutton web still reaches him. From a production standpoint, crossovers depend on creative direction and long-term planning. Spin-offs often try to establish their own identity before blending worlds too heavily. If Marshals is successful on its own terms, the likelihood of future crossovers increases. If it leans too much on nostalgia early, it risks feeling dependent rather than distinct. So will Rip and Beth ever appear? It's unlikely they would become recurring figures. But a carefully placed appearance, especially in a high-stakes moment, feels very possible. The Yellowstone universe thrives on legacy and connection. And no matter how far Kayce moves geographically or emotionally, he is still a Dutton. If Marshals continues exploring what it means for Kayce to carry that legacy in a different arena, then Rip and Beth's presence, even briefly, would serve as a reminder of where he comes from. Not as a crutch, but as context. Whether for better or worse, the Dutton family isn't something you truly leave behind. And if the story ever demands it, don't be surprised if Rip's quiet intensity or Beth's sharp resolve walks back into Kayce's world, even if only for a moment.